Welcome! In today's explainer, we're unpacking a truly fascinating theme that threads its way through some of the most influential ancient texts in human history. We're talking about the concept of true submission versus, well, reluctant obedience. We're going to explore how sweeping historical epics, seemingly bizarre ancient trials, and highly specific daily legal rulings all connect to tell one cohesive, massive story about human nature. But to really get to the heart of this, we kind of have to start with a genuine mystery box. Have you ever wondered why the longest chapter in the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, is named after a cow? Seriously, not a majestic lion or a soaring eagle, but a simple, ordinary cow. I mean, it sounds almost mundane, doesn't it? But as we'll see, this specific animal actually acts as the anchor for understanding deep, profound spiritual laws about how we humans interact with divine authority. Okay, let's dive into this. We'll be looking at the mystery of the cow, Ibrahim's ultimate submission, some practical tests of obedience, and finally, the cycle of denial. By the end of this explainer, I promise you'll see how these are all part of one brilliantly structured narrative. Let's start with the mystery of the cow, which serves as a powerful lesson in reluctant obedience. So picture this. To solve an ancient murder mystery, the Prophet Musa relayed a simple, straightforward divine instruction: slaughter a cow. Any cow would do. The whole shebang should have ended right there. But instead of simply obeying, the people assumed he was joking, and they began to haggle. They asked for its age, then its color, then its highly specific characteristics. Step by agonizing step, through their excessive questioning, they basically boxed themselves into a corner, eventually restricting themselves to a rare, bright yellow, totally unblemished cow that cost them an absolute fortune. The core lesson here is absolutely profound. The story of the cow isn't about agriculture at all. It's a commentary on the sheer danger of reluctant obedience. Making things burdensome is often something we humans do to ourselves by trying to evade a simple command. True submission actually means hearing and obeying without trying to find all these little loopholes. Now let's contrast that with Ibrahim's ultimate submission and why he's universally known as the friend of Allah. If the story of the cow is the ultimate example of reluctant, annoying haggling, the Prophet Ibrahim's life is the exact opposite. His life was literally a timeline of escalating, immense trials. Think about it. He was commanded to stand against his entire society, which led to him being thrown into the roaring fire of King Nimrod, a fire that was made miraculously safe, by the way. Later, he was commanded to leave his family in a barren, empty desert. And ultimately, he faced the unimaginable command to sacrifice his own son. At every single point, Abraham asked zero questions, no hesitation. He just trusted his Lord and submitted. And what's amazing is that this level of trust wasn't isolated to Abraham alone. Look at this profound moment captured in the sources. When Abraham was commanded to leave his family in that desolate valley, the place that would later become Makkah, his wife, Hajar, realized he was acting on a divine command. Instead of panicking or demanding proof of survival, she calmly stated, "The Lord who has commanded you to part from us shall himself look after us." Wow. Her pure submission perfectly mirrored Abraham's, and the text note she was famously rewarded with the miraculous spring of Zamzam. And this brilliantly illustrates the central dichotomy of our entire explainer. On one side, we have the reluctant followers. They're commanded to do something as simple as slaughtering a common cow, and they paralyze themselves with questions, skepticism, and a constant demand for proof. On the flip side, we have the friend of Allah. He's commanded to walk into a raging fire, to abandon his family in a desert, and to hold a knife to his own son, and he does it immediately with absolute tranquility. It's a striking contrast of what real submission truly looks like. So what does this all mean for us? Let's move into some practical tests of obedience and how this submission plays out in daily life. You see, these sweeping historical epics connect directly to our everyday lives. Take the rules of fasting during Ramadan, for example. The text orders believers to fast to build mindfulness, but the law explicitly provides an exception called fidya for the elderly, the ailing, or those who are pregnant. They're instructed to feed a poor person instead. Now, this isn't some sneaky loophole to get out of a chore. Choosing this alternative when you're genuinely unable to fast is in itself a beautiful form of graceful submission. We actually see this even in highly sensitive social interactions, like marital dissolution. The sources detailed the laws regarding divorce before a marriage is consummated. Legally speaking, the husband is required to pay half of the agreed-upon mahr or dowry, but the text immediately offers an alternative based on magnanimity. The wife has the option to graciously waive her right to that half, or the husband, who holds the marriage tie, can graciously choose to pay the full amount anyway. So the crucial point here is captured beautifully in the text, and to remit it is nearer to a taqwa, which means piety. Think about that. Even in the middle of a divorce, a situation where humans are practically hardwired to fight for their strict legal rights, choosing grace and kindness over basic entitlement is presented as the true essence of righteousness.
Finally, let's talk about the cycle of denial and how we go about recognizing the signs.
Zooming out to the macro level of human history, the texts examine a deeply ingrained psychological cycle of denial. Divine signs essentially come in two flavors. The first type are self-evident signs, the breathtaking beauty of nature, the pure logic of the message. These are meant for the open mind. But throughout history, unbelievers stubbornly reject these self-evident signs. Instead, they demand the second type, catastrophic, destructive miracles. The kind only ever witnessed by completely iniquitous nations right before they were utterly annihilated. The core message of this analysis is that humanity constantly argues and demands these tailor-made miracles to justify their belief. They act exactly like the heirs haggling over that cow. But the texts make the argument that true faith, true submission, well, it doesn't require a catastrophic miracle to believe. The truth is already evident for absolutely anyone willing to look without obstinacy. Which brings us to our conclusion. From the people who paralyzed themselves endlessly questioning the color of a cow, to Abraham who walked into a blazing fire without a single word of protest, these texts really challenge our own disposition. What you should take away from this is a deep reflection on your own nature. When faced with authority, truth, or a moral command, do you haggle, demand proof, and wait around for a sign of destruction? Or do you have the grace to recognize the signs of truth that are already right in front of you? It's a pretty powerful question to leave you with. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and as always, keep looking for the signs.